Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
I'm hoping a lot of them very slow. Yeah, I know. It's just she was caught up. Oh my god. She's so nasty. So bad.
Yeah, I had the commentator I did yesterday, Dan Wallace. Everyone from Finland.
I do like it. He's not a voice story, but like, I like him.
Yeah, but like he's also 65.
No, but that's okay. He doesn't have to.
I know. But like he was very like it was very like he came up to me against us and he's like I'm gonna get and just like Richmond now. Like it worked in very well. Sorry, I played this new night like this was I got the famous I got him. Yeah. The media manager just came up to me and he just gave me both. So I have it. I was right anyway, I predicted it, so it's fine.
I love. So I ended up at Everton for 2 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Eltham North Reserve for this round 5 clash of the Nike FC Cup between Eltham Redbacks, of course, and league leaders in the NPL, Victoria, Essendon Royals, in the white today, and Eltham Redbacks in their traditional red. We'll run through the lineups for you. For the home side, it's number 1 in between the sticks is Tiana Orfanidis. Number 2, Elena Guzmit. Number 3, Lucinda Politano. Number 6, Zoe Cataforis. Number 8, Natsumi Kano. Number 9, Paige Foa. Number 10, Alexandrina Giovino. Number 13, Claudia Damazi. Number 14, Isabel Burks. Number 18 is Maya Popuel. And number 21 is Amy Adcock. For the visitors, Eltham Essendon Royals today, it's in between the sticks is number 1, Zara Board, followed by number 4, Michaela Yersic, number 7, Akisha Sandhu, number 8, Isabella Sewards, number 11, Ava Grober, number 12, Cody Wilbert, number 13, Bronte Peel, number 14, Amy Parkinson, number 17, Grace Marr, number 21, Paige Kingston Hogg, and number 23 is Alessia Bresciano. Of course, there's plenty more Nike Cup action around on the grounds today, and we'll keep you posted about those as they happen. Of course, 3 games on currently. It's Heidelberg United lead George Cross 2-1. Alamein lead Craigieburn 2-0, and Preston Lions are drawing with Clifton Hill. Of course, there's this game today as well. It's first place in the NPL Victoria, but first place in the VPL. Of course, Eltham Redbacks led by the Cup cult hero himself, Jonathan Barrientos. Loves a cup set himself, as we're underway already with Eltham Redbacks and gone all the way through to the Essendon Royals back line. And here's Grober now, who goes backwards to Ma. Slots it through to Grober. Tries to slot the ball out wide to Sandu, and there's Sandu again. He finds Adcock. And then back out to Burks, over to Foa and the Giovino. And here's Nakano now, again to Giovino and Foa. Back now to Essendon Royals. All the way back to the back line, and Grace Ma is Cody Wilbert. Headed over to and Long, all the way through for Eltham Redbacks. Chance for across the ball in. Backwards. And crossed in. Almost headed on by Giovino, but all the way through for a throw in. And it's Maya Poppywell to take this one. Back to her, and Grober sends that ball out of play. Out for another throw, and here's Poppywell again. Throw into Giovino. Down the line again. Chance for Sandu to bring it out of defence. To Ma with the long ball down the line to Grober. Will progress herself and just pushed out by Alina Guzmit. Headed on by her as well. Here's Wilbert around the first. And still going is Adcock. And then out for another throw. And it's Akeisha Sandu will take the throw, of course. Did score that winning penalty in that Nike Cup final last year for South Melbourne. And it's gone back the other way is Kano. And out again for a corner kick. It's going to be Ma to take. Sandu over the ball. It's got Grace Ma and Ava Grober deep. Everyone up as well. Sandu sends it in. Headed on by Eltham Redbacks and cleared to Giovino. And out again for another Eltham Redbacks throw this time. And sent down the line to Ma. Down to Jursic. And here's Ma again. Long ball over the top by Ma as players in the box scrambling, but it's picked up by Tiana Orfanides. And then she will just take her time to get back underway. Here's Gutsmit. And then out for a Keisha Sandu throw. We'll send it all the way back and out. By Kobe Wilbert. Sorry, sent in. That was Poppywell. Then by Giovino. Cleared by Jursic. And then out again. And here's Poppywell to restart. Over the top to Giovino. Down the line to Ma. He's dispossessed and taken back to Jursic. Over into the middle. To Kingston Hogg. Back out again to the centre half. Is Board. Oh, and it's being chased by Isabel Burks, but out for another throw. Of course, with the captain's armband today for Eltham Redbacks is Claudia Damazi. Traditionally, it is Taylor Halabi as Zara Board. Just has a bit of a misunderstanding with her back line, and it's out for a corner kick. Looks like it's going to be Napolitano to take this one. And all the way in, headed on by Wilbert, and back out again for another goal kick this time. It will be Zara Board. Of course, formerly of FV Academy and Preston Lions. Zara Board. Been Sophie Den that has been in between the six most of the season for this side as well, of course. Their top goal scorer as well, Kelly McGrory on the bench. 18 goals to her name this season, as we've gone back to Bronte Peel. Down the line again to it, and backwards through the middle to Grover, and dispossessed by Natsumi Kano. That's again by Giovino, finds Foa, and is Adcock, who's got Sandu behind her, and again sends it into Wilbert. Here's Sandu. Back to Yosik and Ma. Back to Adcock, and then over to Sophie Den. And it looks like she's actually wearing the number 99 shirt. Is the goalkeeper. It is, of course, Sophie Den's number, but there's a chance for Eltham Redbacks now to go back the other way. Sent into the box and dealt with nicely by Gutsmit, but not out of danger just yet as Kano headers the ball down. And it's milled around the box by Bresciano. Again, back the other way. And a goal kicker will be. Of course, Tiano Finitas did spend some time as a number 2 at Brunswick Juventus, and then, of course, a Bulleen Lions junior. There's Gutsmit to Giovino, and back to Kano. Over the top to Foa, but back to Redbacks, who have a player in front of her. It's Bresciano. Back to Damasi, who gets dispossessed by Kobe Wilbert, and then here's Bronte Peel now, who will go long, tries to find her player out wide again, and all the way through for a goal kick. And it's a bit of a tussle in that second half by Napolitano, and back the other way. Shot down to Bronte Peel. Cleared again by Kano. Cleared again by the centre half, and pushed to Josic. And back into the middle of the park. Through to Peel again, and here's still Peel, who's got her back to goal, and here's forward out, and long by Damasi, and here's Burks. Can drive, and she cuts backwards to through the middle and into the arms of Sarah Board. And here's Royals now with a chance to go backwards. Of course, we did see a couple of weeks ago Essendon Royals did reach the top of the league table due to goal difference from that 7-1 win against Box Hill United, and the result that was, as Grover just sees the ball go out. And there's Poppuel to Damasi, and then back out. Sent back by Sandu, over to Mar. Through to Josic. And it's a great long ball by Josic, but can't quite reach it. Fullback, and goes out for another throw. Of course, it's great to see how far this Eltham North Reserve has come. Of course, if you were here probably 15, 20 years ago, you would have seen the little tin shed and brick building that they really called their home, and now they've got a heap of infrastructure that's built this up, as well as chairs and lighting. That's extended car park as well, which was crucial for them as they struggled with that, as Giovino finds Foa, and back to Grober. It's not a through ball through, but Kano goes across to Damasi. Through ball through to Burks. Cuts it backwards. And it's cleared by Josic again, and out for Burks for the cross. Down by Damasi, and here's Peel to Wilbert, and then through the middle by Sewards. And then again, all the way through to Orphanitas in goal. That's Poppuel. A nice turn around Grober and off the back of Giovino. And back to Damasi. Over to Grober, and push back out again. Will be Sandu. Cleared by Poppuel, but deflected out to Kano. Who's got Orphanitas, who finds Goodsmith. And she's under pressure, but goes long to Foa. To Josic. Here's Bresciano, who slots it through to Grober, but again, it's Goodsmith who takes the ball down, and Grober spins and turns, and Damasi goes back to Poppuel. Over to Orphanitas. Now across to Napolitano. Through to Kano. He's taken off the ball by Wilbert, but still going. And goes backwards once again. Lots of play out that left-hand side for Eltham Redbacks as Bronzy Peel goes out to Sandu. Go around the first, around the second, but cuts backwards and tries to unleash, but shots the through ball through to the path of Kano. And he's Foa, who finds Giovino. Around the first, Giovino. There's Grace Murray in front of her. There's Giovino. Still Giovino is taken down, but it's a great tackle by Grace Murray. And Ava Grover just pushes that ball out of play. Of course, Paige Foa and Giovino signed together. Combined 14 goals to their name this season. 6 to Giovino and 8 to Foa. There's Sandu. He's got a couple to her name this season as well, of course. That goal of the week against South Melbourne, as it's taken all the way back by Wilbert and Ma to the goalkeeper in board. Here's Mar again. Long ball by Mar and tries to find Sandu out wide again, and it's gone back out for another throw in that same spot as last time. Of course, Sandu playing pretty progressive down the line, as she did for South Melbourne last season. Got some time as a captain there as well, Keisha Sandu. Of course, that winning penalty in that Nike Cup to grant South Melbourne their first Nike Cup victory. Of course, neither one of these sides have won the competition either. There's a period of dominance for Calder United in the late 10s, early 20s, but Bulleen Lions with 2 as well, who just beat Spring Hills yesterday. That's cleared again by Josic. Here's Kano, who goes aloft to Popplewell. Out to Damasi. And then again, it's another throw in by Sandu. On hop by Peel, and over again to Bresciano's ahead of her, but goes all the way backwards to Josic. Is Mar. And that's Kingston Hogg. The long ball again by Josic to find Bresciano. Through ball by Kanu. Long ball by Fowan, tries to find Giovino, but it's a long ball sent over the top to Grober, who's got some space and got to get around Guzmit. And he's still Grober out wide with a chance for a cross along the floor, and not really a connection to the back of that off Isabella Suez, but into Tiana Offanidis' arms. Of course, it's Parkinson playing on that other side as well. Of course, joined from the Northern New South Wales NPL. The long ball again, tries to find Grover, but gets back by Popplewell. And he's sent through to Kano. And then over to Damasi. Through by Damasi. Over to Fowa. Back to Kano once again, who turns. And here's Napolitano out wide, who just through the middle to Burks, but again to Kano, back to Damasi, back to Gutsmit, and over to Popplewell. Here's Giovino, over to Kano, back to player in front of her, which was Adcock, but again not quite there. Again through to Seward's, over to Peel, and then here's Mar again. Grober to Sandu. Cuts around on the inside, back down to Grober. Down the line again, but again pushes through to Orphanidis. Of course, there's long ball sent by Alina Gutsmit over to Bronzy Peel. Here's Michaela Josic now. Back to Zara Board. Here's Mar. Over to Sewards. Back as well, and under pressure is the Essendon backline, and Damasi sends through Giovino. He's got a chance to strike. It's a great save by Zara Board, and it looked offside, but the flag stayed down. And then back the other way for Eltham Redbacks. And it's the Royals now in the white. And backwards to Poppywell. Is Poppywell over to Fowler. Down to Giovino. And again, Sandu does dispossess her. And it's going to be a good battle today, that right-hand side. Through the middle again is Adcock. Through to Parkinson. And finds Bronte Peel, who goes from distance. And again, Orphanitas claims that one. Back over again. Kano. And the line by Napolitano. Feed by Peel. Backwards. Again, and through by Kano. And here's slot ball through to Giovino. And again, through again to Board. To Grace Marr now. Of course, 22 minutes on the clock here in this Nike Cup clash. Top of the league of VPL versus top of the league of the NPL. So, two teams in heavy form as Akisha Sandu's offside on that left-hand side. That's going to be Maya Poppywell. Joins the club from Bundoora United. Long ball into Kayla Yosik. Onto Wilbert. Through again to Kingston Hogg. And then back the other way now. As Kano tries to find Giovino. And again, it's Sarah Board. Through to Josic. Down to Burks, but intercepted once again through to Parkinson, over to Peel. And it's back the other way now by Damasi, through to Poppywell, to be cleared by Gutsmit. And through now to Zoe Cataforas. Is out there in that centre-back role. Of course, her twin sister Stephanie sits on the bench so far. It's a long ball by Damasi. Can't quite split the defence, but it's Marr once again. He goes back the other way now. And here's Parkinson. Around the outside, there's Parkinson. Back to Josic, over to Kingston Hogg. Back to Parkinson, down the line to Bresciano, but doesn't quite reach her either. Again, back the other way. Is a bit of a tussle in that box there by Kobe Wilbert. And then again, back the other way now. It's Parkinson. Back to Board. Over to Marr. Josic. Still backwards is Isabel Burks. Back to Orphanitas and then over to Cataforas. And here's Napolitano. Back the other way is Pesciano. And out for a throw once again. And it's Eltham Redbacks, of course, beat Ballarat City 6-1 in round 4 of this competition. it was 2025. They lost in the round before to South Melbourne 3-0. So not a lot of experience in this competition up against NPL opponents, but Jonathan Barrientos joins the side after leaving Bundoora United, taking his whole team along with him as well to Eltham Redbacks, as Sandu goes over to Wilbert and through to Jurkic. Again over to Parkinson, who can drive and will look up to cross. All the way across and out for a goal kick. Of course. It's Essendon Royals who did beat Melbourne Victory 2-1 in the last round of the Cup. And it was a loss to Bundoora in round 5. So it's Jonathan Barrientos, who got one over this side before. Back the other way now to Bresciano. Chance cut back, crossed in, cleared by Kingston Hogg, and back the other way now is Adcock. Long to Foa. To Board. Back over to midfielder now in Essendon, really setting the tone and the tempo as it goes out wide to Parkinson once again. Still Parkinson driving. It's around Napolitano. Slot through and cleared and strike again, but gone back out for a goal kick. Corner. And it will be Keisha Sandu taking this one. Much of a set-piece specialist herself as well. Of course, also spent some time at Alamein as well. Joined South Melbourne in 2020. Spent just the 5 seasons at South Melbourne before joining Essendon Royals. And here she is now. Half an hour on the clock. Here's Sandu. Headed on by Jursic and again by Kingston Hogg and into the arms of Orphanides. Goes quick to Kataforis. Here's Napolitano. Long ball to find Burks, but cleared by Jursic, who got back quick. Again, back the other way now is Bresciano. Finds Peel. Through to Sandu's talking to Bresciano, and Sandu across to Wilbert. Now back to Parkinson and across to Grace Marr. Is Grober now. Down the line to Sandu. Still Sandu. He'll put the ball all the way across. A strike from range. Wide of the post and out for a goal kick this time. Is Goodsmith. He gets her pass intercepted by Grobo. Knocks the ball on to a striker and again cleared, but still not out of danger as Giovino goes backwards and finds Adcock. He's Kano. He's Burks. Driving by Burks. Still Burks. Gets around the third and the fourth and crosses the ball in and doesn't quite reach Paige Foa, but that was some great counter-attacking football by Izzy Burks. 14 goals to her name this season as well. And it's going to be back to Zara Board in between the sticks. Over to Josic down the line to Kingston Hogg, and back the other way now is Zara Board. Gets down easy. Just 15 minutes to play in this first half of this round 5 clash of the Nike FC Cup, and here's Grober now. Back to Parkinson. And around the grounds as well, it's 4-2 to Heidelberg against George Cross. It's 3-1 to Alamein against Craigieburn. It's Clifton Hill lead Preston Lions, and of course it's 0-0 in this game. There's Goodsmith. Goes to Poppywell and back over to Goodsmith, who only gets it as far as Wilbert. To Peel, and back to Bresciano. To Ma. We'll go over the top, headed on, and again it's picked up safely by Orphanitas. It's pretty well to keep Essendon Royals to no goals at 30-minute half, but it's chasing by Bronzy Peel again and back out. So it goes out to Napolitano this time, to Kano, back to her, back the other way. There will be a long ball over the top, but Sandu's there to intercept. Cleared to Kingston Hogg, over to Sandu. Now into Wilbert. Back to Sewards. Here's Parkinson. Back to her, and then over the top again, headed on, cleared by Damasi, and then through to Grace Marr. Of course, absent from this Essendon Royal side is Kendra Smith and Margaret Jenkins, as sent all the way through to Isabella Sewards, and again out for a throw this time. And here's Sandu. Looking up for a player and goes into the middle to Sewards, and out again. This time Sandu will take it quickly and go to Grober. Back to Sandu. Down the line by Sandu to Grober, but again it's Wilbert and Foa. Back to goal, goes all the way to Kano, who's taken down is Claudia Damasi, and it will be a Redbacks free kick. Long by Goodsmith is Kataforos now, who goes to find their winger, and his Burks. Again, backwards. Sent in once again by Napolitano, and back the other way now is Parkinson. Back to Josic. Across again to Royals, as just bringing the ball out of the back line, and finds Ma to Sandu. And ball's out, but not close, as Popperwell will just retake this game. Popperwell with the throw, finds the Marcy over the top of Sandu, but turns around and goes back to Ma. Back to Board. Here's Josic. Goes back to Board. To Ma. Here's now Ponzi Peel. Again, back to backwards ball. And long over and over the top. Just 10 to go in this first half. I was here in Eltham North. Of course, plenty to look forward to for both of these sides as well. We'll look into their schedules a bit later, but both sit atop their respective leagues, of course, and of course we know that Jonathan Barrientos loves a cup set and loves to go deep. Of course, made that quarterfinals to Bundoora United, with Bundoora United, of course, last season, but did bow out of that competition as South Melbourne went the whole way against Heidelberg United. It's knocked on again into the box, cleared by Goodsmith. Again, knocked on by Cataforis and brought down is no one's there. Headed on back to Langley, who goes all the way to Ma. Of course, newer signing this transfer window as well, Grace Ma, who was really dominant in that game, that first game back, of course, that 7-1 win against Box Hill. Did score as well. Grace Ma, of course, under pressure now is Eltham Redbacks, and going back out to Popplewell, back to Goodsmith, long ball to Fowler, back to Kano. Over the top is Adcock, and back again to Kano, and then out off the side of Kano, and here's Sandu now. Sando. Over the top by Peel. Backwards, and that's a great tackle by Goodsmith. And out for another throw as they look to creep forward. Essendon Royals is Damasi. Long to Giovino. Back by Fowler. Back over, and we'll look up to Burks. Over the top, and again a chance to strike first time, and Zara Board gets down. Is Parkinson now, who will drive and goes to Alessio Bresciano. Back to her now is Parko. With the cross in and cleared near post by Cataforis. Now for a corner. It's like Sandu will take this one. Sandu. It's Acacia Sandu this time. Will take this corner. And there's numbers in the box for the Royals. And it's sent in by Sandu, low and hard, but cleared again by Fowler. Of course, Alessia Bresciano, of course, an Eltham Redbacks junior herself. Of course, the daughter of the Socceroo Mark Bresciano. Grew up down the road, of course. The ball sent in backwards. Around the first is Parkinson, who goes around the second, but again cleared and out for another throw. Of course, she's spent some time as well in the Charlton Athletic youth systems as well as Chelsea's women's. Sent through to Peel, and here's Kano, who's doing well to control that midfield. And then long ball to Izzy Burks, but he's by herself up top. There's Parkinson. Tries to find Peel. Headed on by Kingston Hogg. Then backwards to Peel. Over to Wilbert. Finds Wilbert again. And dispossessed. She is, as there's a chance to drive here now, and ball slotted through to Izzy Burks. She's got Grace Maher ahead of her, and she's done well to keep the league's top goal scorer at bay. And that was Amy Adcock who sent her through, as Giovino crossed by Burks again and down by Zara Bird. Through to Ma. Through to Damasi, of course, a keen futsal player for 1-0 FC in that series futsal competition over there, as Izzy Burks goes around the first, but again, Grace Ma doing well to get ahead in front of the ball, and back the other way now. It's back to there, and looks like there's a player on the floor for Eltham Redbacks, but he's Groby out wide. She's got to get around Poppy well, and she does. Here's Ava Grober. Sends the ball out, and player on the floor will be treated. Just 3 minutes of regulation time here in the first half. Of course, still 0-0. Elsewhere as well, Heidelberg United have just gone 5-0, 5-2 up against Caroline Springs George Cross. Alameda up 3-1 to Craigieburn, and Preston Lions are down 2-1 to FC Clifton Hill. Of course, another VPL side that would progress to the quarterfinals of this competition, alongside Bulleen Lions, who are confirmed as of yesterday's result. Of course, there's a couple other teams that will play later in the week. Of course, Bentley Greens take on Bow Morris, Keilor Park take on South Melbourne, and Melbourne City take on Box Hill in 2 all-NPL clashes. And going back to Wilbert. Back to Ma. To Yersik. Back to Ma again. To Sandu now. Here's Sandu with a cross. Headed on, but all the way through. And out for another goal kick. And Orphanitas will just take her time getting it underway, as Goodsmith finds the line and sends the ball out for Sandu to retake the throw. Back to Grober. Back to Wilbert, and then here's Foa. Again, Wilbert tripped, but gone back to Kayla Jersic now. Through to Parkinson and out. As doesn't quite reach Bresciano. It will be Napolitano. Back to Parkinson. Through to Bresciano. Here's Kingston Hogg, and back out once again. Amy Adcock. Long ball by Napolitano headed. He's gone over the top of her as Amy Adcock sends the ball across the face, and Zara Board is there. Goes to Yersik. Goes across and finds Kingston Hogg, and back over to Grace Ma. Finds Peel. Over to Sandu. Over to Ma now. A-League champion and premier, as Grober. Backwards by Grober. Across the face. All the way to Hadcock, who again goes through to Wilbert. Sandu. Back over to Peel. Here's Wilbert once again. We'll find Jersic over to Parkinson. And it's through again to Sandu. Intertaste by Damasi. Over to Napolitano. Backwards to Napolitano, who finds Parkinson out wide. Chance for a cross is Bresciano. Into the face and cleared by Goodsmith again. It's another throw. And here's Parkinson with the throw. Into the head, but cleared once again, and that's 45 minutes on the clock here at Eltham North Reserve. It's still 0-0 in this clash. Of course, that's half-time now. As things stay that way, it will head, of course, to extra time and penalties, but nothing can separate the two sides as they head into the half at 0-0. Welcome back to Eltham North Reserve for this second half of this round 5 clash between Eltham Redbacks and Essendon Royals. Still 0-0 here, as it's been all Essendon Royals this game. Of course, winner of this game plays for a spot in the quarterfinal of the Nike FC Cup. Around the grounds as well. George Cross is losing to Heidelberg 5-4. Craigieburn is losing to Alamein 3-1. And Clifton Hill lead Preston Lions. And of course the Tau game that is 0-0. And it's just the one team confirmed into the next round of this competition so far. Of course, Pauline Lions overcame Spring Hills, despite the heroics of Ayan Al-Yagi in between the sticks for them. And already underway very quickly as Bresciano chases the ball out. And here's Napolitano. Goes along to find Carno's head. cleared by backwards is Yursic, and then Parkinson over the board. And here's Yursic again. Back over to Wilbert, and then finds Sewards. Over to Parkinson now, and backwards to all the way to Zara Board. He finds Wilbert. Out to Ma. Again to Sandu, and backwards to Ma once again, who's pushed down. And it's a throw, but looked like it was slightly off the ball there as Popperwell sends it all the way back to Michaela Yursic. He's bored now. He's still just keeping in between the sticks, of course, in place of Sarah Dent. Of course, looking for the bench as well for Essendon Royals. It's number 2, Emma Langley, number 9, Kelly McGrory, number 10, Ayano Kazumi, and number 19, Renee Pocock. For the Redbacks, it's Samantha Black, Christina Dimitrovsky, Taylor Halabi, Julia Mamone, and Hannah Swift, and Stephanie Kataforis has dispossessed very early, and chance for Redbacks is gone astray as Kano goes from distance, and Board does claim the ball back to Yursic now. Through to Sewards, over to Yursic. He's taken down by the player in front of her as Adcock finds a ball into the box and cleared back to Michaela Yursic, who sends it on, and Kano's there. Again, spin by Bronzy Peel. Back to Yursic now, and again to Board, who's playing patient football. Of course, quite a big American base in this VPL system. There's the likes of course, Paige Fowler and Ali Giovino, but joins them in this league, of course, the likes of Delaney Kenny from Bayside Argonauts, and quite a few people that played through the NCAA Division 1 and 2 system. Of course, there's 4 alumni from Florida Tech that are within the NPL system now. Eve Titakakis, one of those that did score for Heidelberg today. As back the other way now. Of course, the likes of Ayano Yagi as well, of course. Back to Zara Board. Of course, Eva Titakakis, Mia Otero, Savannah Oxley, Danny Tobin, all alumni of that Florida Tech system. Of course, won that national champs as well in the NCAA Division 2. As Bresciano with the spin goes backwards and had Parkinson to her side, but goes back to Yursic and his Ma now, who finds Sandu. There was heroics in that Nike Cup final for South Melbourne, along with Yagi, of course, played in goal, but Sandu did score that winning penalty as Yursic drives, cuts backwards to Sewards and finds Parkinson out wide, who takes the throw now. And here's Bresciano lurking in the box and pushed back out again by Leslie Napolitano this time. Of course, it's Taylor Halabi that usually dons the captain's armband for this Eltham Redbacks side. It's Claudia DeMasi today, a fine futsal player for 1-0 FC, but Bronzy Peel chasing and just Zoe Kataforis does well there to push the ball out to let Tiana Alfanitas take the goal kick and goes over to Alina Goodsmith. Down the line to Essendon Royals will take this throw. Because Grace Smart is in the back line there, and you're signing this window along with Maggie Jenkins, who is away on international duty, did score 4 last week. Of course, the league's top goal scorer as well, Keely McGrory, does sit on the bench, and you'd assume they would use her a bit later in this game. She did come off the bench as well in the last round of the Cup. Didn't score, but put the ball in front of her and she'll do magical things, as they say. 18 goals to her name this season, Keely McGrory. Of course, aspirations to play in the A-League as well. It's the first season at the club. As Kano goes around Yosik, she's chasing. Cuts backwards and chance for across, but she will go herself from distance around the round post, and it was almost 1-0 to the Redbacks. And that was a brilliant effort. Of course, joined from Bundoora United as well last season. That was almost something of magic here in the Cup. Of course, just about done in those other games as well. 5-4 in that game against Caroline Springs and Heidelberg. And Clifton Hill still win against Preston Lions. So another cup set on the cards there. As Parkinson cuts backwards. Goes across to Wilbert. And then there's Damasi, who tries to find the player out wide, Izzy Burks, but goes backwards to Bronzy Peel and through to Grober to Sewards. Now here's Jersic. He's now Peel goes backwards and cuts the ball through, and Grober's in behind. It's the ball all the way run, and I think goal kick is the call. Of course, you look at that South Melbourne side, they won this Nike Cup as well. The likes of course, Akeisha Sandu in that side, as well as Olivia Bomford, Nikki Furukawa, Ayana Oyagi. They're all scattered around the league. Of course, all playing in that cup final against Heidelberg when they were pretty much not the favourites. But Ale Giovino now is wide and can't get past Grace Marr. And she does well to get past it and send it through to Damasi. Slows the game down, but tries to look up once again and slots it through to Poppuwell. And Poppuwell still driving backwards and out for a throw. Of course, South Melbourne do take on Keilor Park next week, as well as Bentley Greens up against Beau Morris, I think it is, but just the one team confirmed so far, as we'll send all the way through to Sarah Board. Back to Napolitano, who gets dispossessed, unfortunately, and finds Cataforis, who sends the ball over the top to Burks. And once again, it's Kayla Jersic who does claim that ball and finds Parkinson. Sends the ball over the top, and there's Orphanitas. Of course, was a backup goalkeeper to the likes of Peyton Woodward. then back out and on throw. Cross. Lots of movement in the window as well. South Melbourne, of course, signing Clancy Westaway and Alana Shern. Grace Maher here at Essendon Royals. Of course, Maggie Jenkins, as mentioned. Of course, Melissa Barbieri, time at Bentley Greens as well, and hope that he could save their season, who's really swallowing on the bottom of the league as Peel now turns and goes back to Kingston Hogg. Goes backwards to Jersic. Through to Peel. Over to Kingston Hogg again, and here's Jersic once again. Through to that, and then finds Kingston Hogg, who goes backwards once again to Jersic. Of course, speaking of Clyde Demasi, we were meant to have Costa Fruitus from 1-0 on the commentary today with us. Of course, coaches her in that series futsal competition. Don't know if he's in attendance today, but of course, coaches a majority of these girls, including Taylor Halabi. As a ball sent into the middle and sent all the way through again. And of course, Taylor Halabi's older sister does play for Keon Park in whatever league they're playing now. I think it's State League 5, State League 2, alongside Steph Galea. And there's Parkinson now. Goes backwards to Jersic. Through to Grober. Bresciano back to Jersic. Over to Wilbert. Headed on by Carno. Cleared again by Essendon, as it's cleared once again by Eltham Redbacks, and all the way through to Zara Board now. Of course, spent some time in Western Australia as well. And then South Melbourne, of course, as Carno goes backwards to Jersic. Has Parkinson to her left, but goes to of course, just a little bit of a fun fact for you all as well. Of course, we did mention the South Melbourne Infinity Stones, but it was Ayana Al-Yagi who bought a car off of Keisha Sandhu a couple of years ago while they were both playing for South Melbourne. Here's some changes now for Essendon Royals, and it looks like it will be Keisha Sandhu that does leave the field of play, and that's 3 changes coming on for Essendon Royals. One of those being Ayano Kazumi. Of course, 28-year-old from Japan. Did arrive at the club in 2023. From Japan, of course, a pretty strong high schooling football background over there, and won the 2023 VPL Best and Fairest. And he's just got 15 goals in 18 games for them. Helped them get promotion. There's Kano now, who goes backwards to Napolitano. Here's Burks. Cuts in the inside and through to Kazumi now. Slots the ball through to the winger, and Parkinson chasing, who cuts inside. Goes to Peel and then back out to her, but it's Kano. Again, through by Kano. Over to Peel. Through to Parkinson. And goes down the line. So backwards is Emma Langley. You can assume places Ava Grover. And Emma Langley enters. Here's a ball over the top, headed on and through to Offanitas by Emma Langley. And there's a player on the floor now. And I think also on is Renee Pocock. Of course, Spent some youth time at Bulleen Lions. Also spent some time at Calder. Of course, it was Eltham Redbacks that did get knocked out by South Melbourne last year in the Cup. They were 0-0 at half-time. Ended up a 3-0 win for South Melbourne to advance, but still 60 minutes on the clock here. Just 30 to play in this game. Of course, quality side as well. Just the one loss in the VPL season. We know how Jonathan Barrientos makes. Of course, it's a new look Eltham Redbacks side as well. Cleared by Ma. Long by Langley. Out wide. And of course, Sand is replaced, so that left winger has been changed to somebody else now as Jersic goes to the midfielder and goes long and dispossessed and long by Eltham Redbacks, who finds Burks. Here's Damasi now. Inside by Damasi, who's taken down, and no free kick is the call, but will be a chance here for Redbacks, and Royals go the other way. And pushed all the way down to Grace Marr now. Here's Jersic. Back to Peel, over to Kazumi. Back to Jersic again. Again long this time. Strike from range and going along the floor. It was Isabella Sewards. Of course, also spent some time at South Melbourne. Over 150 appearances in the NPL Women's. Does Isabella Sewards. And quick turn by Amy Adcock through the other way now. And under pressure here is Eltham Redbacks, cleared by Alphanides. And through all the way. Headed on by Giovino. Is Isabel Burks lurking. Of course, 14 goals to her name this season. Isabel Burks did join from Bundoora United alongside many other people in this SNRL side. Of course, he's Jonathan Barrientos, formerly of Bundoora United, did bring over quite a few players. Did lose in that semi-final. I mean, they progressed to the final, but did forfeit that game in that VPL playoff final. But it was Avondale that obviously were crowned champions of that, as well as going undefeated in the league. But here's Izzy Burks now. Who goes inside to Damasi, but here's Kazumi now. Who has her winger in Peel. Backwards by Peel. 1-2 and a through, and out is her defender. And again, once out for a throw, and it won't be Kish Sandu to take, but it's ball sent all the way through once again by Isabel Burks. Parkinson remains on the pitch as well for Essendon Royals. And the ball sent into the middle and taken down by Emma Langley with the number 2 shirt on. Emma Langley, despite playing up top, it's a bit questionable. And of course, that winger actually was Zoe Goncalves in the place of Renee Pocock. Was just 15 years of age. Does enter the field. It's Burks. Back to Kazumi. Over to Ma. And then a long ball by Ma to find Langley, who's there, but it's taken over the top by everyone. And again, wide of the post is Isabella Sewards. And 65 on the clock here. course, back underway after that. Through to all the way over the top of the bar and out for another goal kick. Just about into the 67th minute. 6-7, but still nothing out of this game. Of course, Killy McGrory remains on the bench and no Eltham Redbacks changes either being made. His ball sent down to Giovino and his ball sent through to Burks, but not quite. And that's Paige Fowler, who also sits there in that role as they move to a two-striker formation here. Go back to Ma, to Jersic now. This Sewards. Back to Jersic and over to Board. And the long ball again, taken down, is Isabella Sewards. Is taken down once again, but it will be a Eltham Redbacks free kick. And that's Kano, taken down. But had a pretty good game today, Natsu Kano, but it's going to be Lena Goodsmith takes that long ball and headed on by Grace Marr once again as Bronte Peel goes long. Tries to find Emma Langley. Cleared by Damasi. Long by Giovino, who's chasing now. Marr to Jersic now, who will just send the through ball through to Wilbert. And out wide to Goncalves. Langley. Over the top is Cataforis, and out again once more by Popplewell. And it looks like there's one more change getting ready to come on for Essendon Royals. And that is, of course, Keely McGrory comes on. Of course, 18 goals to her name this season, Keely McGrory. And sent all the way through, of course, just get the ball near her somewhere and she'll go for a goal straight away pretty much. You can pretty much bet your house on money that she'll score. But Jersic goes over to Kazumi and has McGrory. Backwards is Izzy Burks now, who's chasing. He doesn't have enough pace to get on the back of that one, but through to a goal kick. Sitting a bit deep as well, Kelly McGrory. Of course, got Emma Langley up top alongside Bronte Peel and Zoe Goncalves. Looks like a bit of a two-striker formation. As back is Parkinson to Jersic. Over to Board. Back over to captain for today is Jersic. Of course, did spend some time in the NCAA Division 1, Kelly McGrory. Through to Peel. Tries to find McGrory now, and here she is. That's around Damasi. Through ball is to Peel, but cleared by Napolitano. Headed on by Parkinson and then over and out for a throw. It's going to be Napolitano taking this one. Long ball. Headed on by Wilbert. And then by Parkinson over to Kano. Here's Burks. The long ball through and finds the goalkeeper of the opposition. Here's Parkinson. Over to Jersic. Back the other way now as Giovino finds Foa. Back to Giovino, but this is Estes. McGroarty will drive. Cuts backwards by Kano, but McGroarty drops deep to Jersic. Over to Kazumi. Through to Langley and across and over the top to Goncalves, who's over the top through the keeper. Chance for a cross now with no keeper, but cross into the box and cleared once again by the Redbacks defence. And through to McGroarty, but here's Cano. Back to DeMasi, who's taken down. And free kick is the call. It is. Amy Adcock, of course. Foul against her, but there's just 18 minutes left on this clock before this clash gets sent to extra time. And the ball's sent long. Kazumi. Through to out wide, backwards to Goncalves. Back again to Ma. Finds Parkinson now. And Parkinson will cut inside. Kano's there. Taken down, but game is on. Is Kano. Back to Peel. Who finds Langley, but goes behind her. And again, back the other way. Through to Parkinson to take this throw. Back to Jersic. And here's McGroarty now with the turn. It's a quick feed by McGroarty as well. By Jersic now. Through to Goncalves. Over to Bresciano. And then backwards is Parkinson. Sue ball through, cleared by Cataforis, and taken back the other way to Peel. Is Cataforis again who kicks it out of play. And what a great facility this is as well. Eltham North Reserve, the artificial 3G pitch, is always been one of the best in the leagues. Well, great junior program as well. Eltham Redbacks are NPL quite a time before. Their women were up there and their men's system was up there as well, of course. Alana Jansevsky, the junior YPL girls mentor, as well as Marco Rojas in the men's side. And here's Parkinson, goes back to Jersic. Over to McGroarty. Parkinson back to down the line is Peel. Is Kazumi. And cleared is Cataforis. And still no changes for Eltham Redbacks here either at Eltham North Reserve. And 9:32 here in the northern suburbs. I need to lock into this second half now, as it's been pretty much all Eltham Redbacks. Oh, Essendon Royals rather. Eltham Redbacks have had a couple changes. That one from Kano that just went shy of the post, and to turn by Kazumi. Backwards and across in. All the way across and cleared by DeMasi. Headed on by Jersic, but Paige forwards there. Backwards by Wilbert. Headed on again by McGroarty. All the back the other way by Damasi. Through to striker in Parkinson now out wide. Over to Kazumi. Quick feet by Kazumi, who finds Wilbert, who feeds the line to find Parkinson. Across to Langley and cleared, but player on the floor once again, and it looks like Damasi's down. But Izzy Burks goes herself. Around the first, still Izzy Burks. Across the face and into the arms of Zara Board, but it goes out for a corner kick, and she's going to be the difference maker today, Izzy Burks. Of course, spent some time in northern New South Wales as well. Looks like Claudia Damasi's back on her feet as well. But it's proceedings restart with a corner. Of course, it's 9:35 on the clock, of course. It'll be 2 15-minute halves and penalties if it does end the draw. I need to get home. I've got scuba diving tomorrow, so very excited for that one down at Port Melbourne Beach. But it's going to be a corner now for the Redbacks. And it's sent in, headed and feed by Ma. Again by Goncalves, and then Bresciano's taken down, and it's a penalty here at Eltham North Reserve. And the home side could go 1-0 up here in round 5 of the Nike Cup. And Zara Board has a lot to deal with here as Eltham Redbacks. The chance for a cup set here, Eltham North Reserve. She's still down, the player, but Eltham Redbacks. A chance to make history and go into the quarterfinals of this cup. Damasi's back up on her feet, and it looks like it's going to be Natsu Kano to take. Here's Natsu Kano. And Zara Board in between the six has Essendon Royals on her shoulders here. And lining up for the penalty. Just 80 minutes on the clock here, Eltham North Reserve. Whistle groans. And Kano hits the post and out. And Essendon Royals have a lifeline. And it's not over yet as Kanu can repay it. Cross the face again and out. And Royals will go back the other way. And that's the story of their game today. Essendon Royals and Eltham Redbacks. But just on the inside of the post and goes the other way. But just 10 to play now. The Eltham North Reserve. And it's a free kick to Redbacks. Back to Goodsmith now, who feeds the line. Goes back the other way now. Of course, Alina Goodsmith, older sister of Eva, of course, from South Melbourne, of course. Recovering now from an ACL injury, but, right, of course. Natsu sends the ball through to Izzy Burks, and she's offside, and it looks close. I don't know about that one, but Natsu Kanu nearly repaid the debts of that penalty to Izzy Burks, but they really want it now. Eltham Redbacks, but through sent to Parkinson. Across the face. Here's a chance now, but backwards is Bronte Peel and out for a corner. Everyone up for the Royals. And it's a corner now for the Royals. Sent in. Cleared by Guzmitz. Back the other way is Foa, who doesn't get in front of Grace Marr, but finds now Marr, who will send a long ball over the top to Bronte Peel, but it's Orphanides there. And Orphanides will go long. Cleared by Marr. Kano again. Cleared again by Marr once again. And Jersik's on the floor, but Kazumi will go around and lob a ball over the top to Peel. Cleared by Kataforis and out. And it looks like maybe a change will get ready to come on for Jonathan Barrientos' side, but 83 minutes on the clock here. Slotted through to Goncalves and out for a goal kick. Vilfanides, and a double change coming on for the Redbacks. And Kataforis off, and Amy Adcock also off. Also coming on for the Royals is another change. And it's double change for the Redbacks. It's Samantha Black and Julia Mamone. And here's a chance already for Langley, who cleared out by Julia Mamone in her first touch of the game. And it was a Royals change as well. We'll get confirmation of who that was in particular. Looks like it was Renee Pocock, potentially, but a corner now for the Royals. Once again, everyone's up apart from just the one defender. Taken short. Quick feed and cross. Oh, was a corner now. And that was just very close. And just 5 left on the clock here. Eltham North Reserve. Another corner coming in. Sent in high. Cleared by Orphanides. Is Dilmar into Orphanides' arms, and chance for a counter-attack now. Izzy Burks is lurking. Through to taken down. Advantage played, but taken back to Kano. Through to McGroarty now. And here's Foa. Finds Popperwell. Back out to Essendon Royals throw. Of course, a reminder, it'll be 2 15-minute halves and penalties if the score remains the same. Of course, both sides get an extra sub as well. This ball sent down to Popplewell. Down to Cano. And cleared short by McGroarty, who's sitting deep. Long ball by Popplewell. Down to Giovino. Down the line once again. Chasing is Burks, but cleared by Jursic. Cleared by Kazumi. Chasing is Goodsmith. Down to Orphanides. Over to Goodsmith again. And here's McGroarty putting pressure on. Damasi back to Popplewell. Over to Foa. Over to now Giovino. Cleared by Bresciano. Back to Kazumi now. Who will go to Ma. He'll send the long ball over the top once again. He's gone Carls, who's offside, but very close it was. And there's Parkinson. Back to McGroarty. And she's got peeled out wide. She goes through the middle. Cleared once again by Goodsmith. Who's got Foa turning. Back to Ma once again, who's really controlled that back line today. Over to down the line is Bresciano. There's Julia Mamome in front of her. Cut around is Goncalves and back out for another throw now. Royals. Not long left in this clock, but and it's backwards now to Kazumi. Kazumi sending the ball in McGroarty's head and taken down is the Redbacks player, but back is Damasi. Long by Burks. Knocked on by Paige Foa, and now here's Ma over to Jursic. Back to board now. Back over to Jursic. Of course, intercepted now by Burks and out. With just 90 seconds left of game time here at Eltham North Reserve. 9:46 is the time here. As Jursic goes to Peel, finds Parkinson. Goes into the middle to Pocock. Now Kazumi sends the ball all the way. Parkinson chasing. Goes around to player. Here's Langley turning. McGroarty from range. McGroarty and just wide of the far post. And I think Orphanides had that covered, but we're in the final minute of playtime now here at Eltham North Reserve. It's VPL's top of the league. Eltham Redbacks taking on top of the league NPLs. Essendon Royals. Which ER is better? Essendon Royals or the Redbacks? We'll see. Back the other way now is Peel. Is Langley. Cleared by Napolitano. Here's Kazumi now. Back to Ma. Over to Parkinson. Here's Parkinson, who will find McGroarty. Deal McGroarty, who turns and faces Bresciano, cleared by Damasi. That's 90 minutes now at Eltham North. And we will see how long is left in this game before it heads to extra time and potentially penalties, as Jursic sends it in to Goncalves. Langley from range and Orphanides gets down. And you'd imagine this would be one of the last moments of the game now. And Napolitano to Burks. Here's McGroarty. across to player, but it's Sam Black who came on, of course, as well. And here's Langley turns to Pocock, across to Parkinson, but Kano gets in front of her, and now Kazumi. He will have some space to drive and still goes wide. Down the line herself as Giovino's very deep. Sets it over to Kazumi. Back to Jursic. Now across to Ma. And how long does this referee leave in this game as final effort over the top of Orphanitas? Again, second effort is cleared, not only as far as Parkinson, but back the other way now is Bronte Peel. And now back the other way is Kano, and she just has to clear it. Is Burks. Jursic pushed, but back to Ma. Along to head it on to McGrory now as Van Calves chases. Cleared by Poppywell, and throw in now in the dying moments. McGrory gets around Alina Gutsmit, and now another throw. There's another player on the floor for the Redbacks. There's a player on the floor for the Redbacks, but and that's May coming onto the pitch now, and she's just made a late challenge to get that ball out of play, and I think she's leaped too far in. And there's just about game over here. And we're heading to extra time. But first, there is still a throw in for the Royals. And I think they'll play with just a 10 for now, as Alina Guzmitz is the player on the floor. And ball sent in, feed by Napolitano. All the way through. 10 remain on the pitch still, as Ma sends it all the way over the top to Peel. Still Peel, crossed by Kazumi. Peel again. Chance across the face of goal, cleared by Damasi. Over the top is Burks. Here's Izzy Burks now. 1-on-1 with Grace Ma. Around the first. Goes wide herself and doesn't have much support, but has to cut backwards to Giovino and back to Damasi. Over to Giovino. Cleared by Giovino, and Kano now. Penalty misser, who finds Napolitano. Over to Kano. Over now to Bresciano. Cleared by Burks from range, and out for another goal kick, and that's full time here at Eltham North Reserve, and we're going to extra time. It's 0-0 here between Eltham Redbacks and Essendon Royals. One league separates the two sides, but nothing can separate them on the pitch, and we'll be back very shortly for some extra time action. Of course, we'll give you an update of the results around the grounds for the Nike Cup for the women. And I've never been more grateful to live in the northern suburbs than tonight, I'll tell you that. But we'll still be here as we give you an update on the scores around the grounds. Of course, lots of changes can still come on for Essendon Royals and Eltham Redbacks. Around the grounds as well, it was a cup set over there in Preston as Clifton Hill beat them 2-1. Heidelberg United beat Caroline Springs George Cross 6-4. And Alamein beat Craigieburn 4-1. And they all join Bulleen Lions in the next round of the Nike FC Cup. Of course, it's still South Melbourne to play. It's still South Melbourne up against Keilor Park. It's Bentley Greens up against another side in the state leagues. And these sides, of course, top of EPL 1 versus top of the NPL. And Jonathan Barrientos has taken the league leaders to 0-0 at 90 minutes. Of course, look into the bench as well. They've still got Christina Dimitrovsky, Taylor Halabi, and Steph Kataforis on the bench. For the Royals, they've still got... Oh, they've made all their changes. Of course, Killy McGority came on late in that second half and played a pretty dismissive role, very defensively, but of course they've got a two-striker situation going on there with, of course, Emma Langley also coming on. And just the two changes made. And we've just got confirmation that it was Elisa Goodsmith that did go down late in that half. She is okay. She looks like she's remaining on the pitch as well. And the referee's whistle goes. And of course they do have to do a coin toss to determine who kicks where and who gets kickoff. Of course, it's the Matt Galea derby as well today. Both sides clients of Matt Galea. Of course, he was having a chat with me pre-game as well, and he told he doesn't want anything to do with Eltham Redbacks today. He posted the lineups for Essendon Royals, and he got sent the lineups when we all got sent the lineups late. So Claudia DeMasi stands over with Michaela Yersic for a coin toss. Of course, there was a couple scares as well for Claudia DeMasi when she went down as well as self-injured. And I don't think much will separate these two. And of course, 2 15-minute halves, a small break, and then penalties. If it remains 0-0. And they will join Bulleen Lions, Clifton Hill, Alamein, and Heidelberg in the next round of the Nike Cup. Of course, Eltham North Reserve. Great to have such good facilities out here in the north of Victoria. And of course, Bentley Greens also take on Beau Morris. Keilor Park take on South Melbourne. And Melbourne City take on Box Hill Pythagoras. All happening next week. Of course, this is the game as well for these two sides this weekend. The senior women take on Manningham United, this Eltham Redbacks side, sitting atop of the table. And here's Eltham Redbacks to get us underway again. And already a free kick being taken. 50-metre penalty. Free kick Collingwood. And here's Kazumi. Over to Kazumi again, who's out wide is Parkinson. With a cross in, finds McGraw at his feet and cleared once again by Napolitano, who's slotted into centre back. And this ball sent in across again and out. He's chasing, but out for another throw. And this way it's the other sides now as Populwell goes to Black. Still Black, who gets around Bresciano, and whose dad's not in attendance, we've discovered. He's based out of Italy, but of course chief officer of the Sirace club over in the Italian leagues. Of course, Alessia herself spent some time in the Charlton Athletic and Chelsea academies. Sits in right back as well now. She was spending the majority of that half in right wing, but of course she's got Grace Marr next to her as well. And Parkinson goes along, headed on, and here's Peel, who's driving, but once again cleared all the way through by DeMarcy. I don't think there's many changes that Eltham Redbacks could make now. And sent in by the Royals. Still a chance, working on the 18-yard box. Set backwards now to Marr now. Long. Here's Kano. Here's Black, and over the top is Bresciano's Goncalves taken down. The Marcy chasing. And back off Goncalves' foot, but it will be their throw. Back the other way is Giovino. Does have Fowler in front of her, but she goes out to Burks. And is taken off the ball by Parkinson over to Jersic. And then goes long to Kazumi across, but dispossessed is Kano now. And taken off the ball is Goncalves. Long by Bresciano. And then all the way through to Julian Mamone this time. Of course, also spent the last 10 years with Bandura as well before joining this Eltham Redbacks side along with Jonathan Barrientos. Of course, also still on the bench is Christina Dimitrovsky and Taylor Halabi, also former Bandura players, as Giovino is Mamone, taken down by Bresciano. Back the other way now is Langley. She's got Goncalves out wide, but cleared it is by Alessia Napolitano. Of course, also some by Bandura. Is Bresciano lurking. Of course, what a player her dad was as well. Just 11 days to go until the Socceroos kick off their World Cup campaign. He was a big name in their golden generation. As Bresciano goes to McGrory, cleared again. by Napolitano. Gone to Pocock. Along and out once again. And Redbacks take this one, and this one's my moment. Take this one. There's Julia Mamone now, who goes along to Cano, headed on by Bresciano, backwards now, who finds Ma, headed on by Damasi. And he's all the way through, is Napolitano. Out wide to Poppywell. And then back now to Parkinson. Goes to Jersic, now to Parkinson again, who finds a fullback in front of her, and goes to Cano. Dispossessed by McGroarty once again, and backwards to Damasi, who just about miskicks it, headed on by Kazumi. Here's Giovino. There's back to Kazumi, out wide to Peel, and back the other way. Here's the other way now for the Redbacks. Counter attack for them as they look to slow the game down a little bit around the first, but it's Parkinson who does get in front of them. See Parkinson now, who will have Bonsi Peel inside as well as McGroarty. And here's Pocock over to Peel, who's taken down, but it will be a corner. And I think it was Elena Gusmit that did exit play. We think Stephanie Cataforis did re-enter. And the ball sent in by the corner, headed on, they're close and in. And Kelly McGroarty. It's 1-0 to the Royals. It's her 20th goal this season as well. And just 8 to go in this first half. It's 1-0 to the Royals. And it's a great cross in the box as well by Grace Marr. Backwards now by Paige Fowler is Giovino. Back to Cataforis. Oh, it's a bit of a trip, but here's Royals again and saved, but the follow-up is in. And it's 2-0 now. Ayana Kazumi makes it 2 in the space of 35 seconds. And Essendon Royals have booked themselves a spot in the last 16 of this competition. Quarterfinals, rather, but no cup set here today unless something magical happens. It is football, but of course it was the 2023 VPL Best and Fairest that scores that goal. Back by Ma. Over to Jersic now. It's Parkinson. Back to Jersic. Over to Kazumi. Then we did a Parkinson now. Back to Board. 100 minutes on the clock. Back to Pocock over to the Redbacks, who have Burks, who just gets it out wide, deflected off her winger in Samantha Black, and out for a goal kick this time. Of course, Samantha Black, another one of those Bundura players that Jonathan